Everybody, we are live here in New York. Blake Biscardi with the Silver Bulletin. I am joined by Joe Cronin of IUSTV Sports, and we are here at the Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York City, awaiting the results tonight. Fernando Mendoza, Indiana's quarterback, is the favorite right now to win the award tonight. Ohio State's quarterback Julian Sayin, Vanderbilt's quarterback Diego Pavia, and then we have Notre Dame's running back Jeremiah Love. Joe, we see these guys. We had them yesterday for some availability. They both had great seasons. Let's just stay heavy here in the Big Ten. You're an Indiana guy, Ohio State guy here. We've covered both these guys all season long. What stood out to you about Fernando Mendoza? What are your thoughts being here for the Heisman weekend?
I mean, it's special. It's my first time in New York City as is,
Yeah.
and I think just the ceremony, all the events we've had so far have been really special. I mean, you kind of had your claim to fame yesterday with Julian Sayin being the lone reporter with him, but for Fernando, I mean, comes in from Cal, a 6-6 season.
Mm-hmm.
He's so poised, so determined, and so smart as a quarterback. I mean, he's said it so many times, and he's so authentically himself.
Yes.
The only apps he has, LinkedIn and YouTube, that's his social media that he uses. He got his business degree from Cal, such a prestigious school that is. He's getting his master's degree from the Kelley School of Business, a top 10 school. And he shows that on the field. He makes the smart decisions, doesn't really turn the ball over. He's got a great frame, being 6'5", a powerful arm, weapons on the outside, and that's shown in the way he's played. I mean, he has that dual threat capability. And I mean, it's kind of why he's the runaway favorite right now. And the biggest thing for him, maybe the stats aren't crazy, but it's the moments. The Oregon game, the Penn State game, the Iowa game. And then, of course, that Big Ten championship. That was, two defensive juggernauts, but when it mattered the most, Mendoza made some really big-time plays to Charlie Becker, wide receiver 4 on the roster coming into this season. And for Julian Sayin, though, I mean, first year as a starter, he really stood out, jumped out in a big way. I don't know if there are question marks about him, but he's played at such a high level for the talent that he has on the outside as well.
No, he has. And when you look at someone like Julian Sayin compared to Fernando Mendoza, you're like opposite ends of the spectrum here. You have first-time starting quarterback and a veteran starting quarterback. And I think you saw that encapsulated in the Big Ten championship game. And that's not to say Julian Sayin is the worst quarterback or didn't play well. You just saw in the big moments or with the coverages. There was a lot more football under Mendoza's belt. Sayin appeared a little bit confused. I thought Indiana's defense did a great job at first disguising some coverages. Saw the early interception from Sayin. But just overall, when you needed a moment to deliver, Mendoza had it all year long. Now, both quarterbacks have been really consistent, and I was just writing about Julian Sayin, per se, not having that Heisman moment that everybody else had. But his whole season could be defined as a Heisman caliber season because he was the most efficient quarterback in the country. He's extremely accurate. He holds that regular season record now for completion percentage. But you have a guy like Mendoza now leading Indiana to a 13-0 season. First time in school history they won the Big Ten for the first time since the 60s, I believe.
Yep.
What has that moment been like covering the team? And then also the impact of Curt Cignetti bringing in a guy like Fernando Mendoza, how that's impacted the team. Because you saw Curtis O'Rourke last year.
Yeah.
Now you're coming to Mendoza. Indiana beating Ohio State, I think, wasn't so much that Ohio State wasn't good or that Indiana was great. It showed you that Indiana now has the players to play with and beat Ohio State, which has been the cream of the crop in college football. Last year, we saw that game in Columbus. Yes. Those two teams didn't appear like they belonged on the same field. It's clear they do this year. And Indiana now has the legitimacy to be considered one of the top dogs in college football.
Yeah, we look about this time 2 years ago. Curt Cignetti gets hired, has a press conference at Lucas Oil Stadium saying, a year from now I'm going to be back here. Right. He claims he's a year late, which is crazy to think about coming from an Indiana guy.
True.
He goes to Assembly Hall, and he calls out 3 teams, Purdue, Michigan, Ohio State. In his very first year, knocks off 2 of them. Yes, Purdue was historically bad.
True.
In year 2, he goes and knocks off Ohio State. I mean, he's talked the talk for sure in that first year, but then this year he kind of came in, he's like, I needed to ruffle some feathers. I needed my fan base, the IU fan base, to kind of back him. This was a fan base that really wasn't supporting their football team for a long time, and they start to see some success, and you've seen, build it, they will come. He's built a winning program, and people are packing that rock right now, and you saw Lucas Oil Stadium was unbelievably loud between both fans right there, and they're just they're the most competitive team I have seen in college football. They will fight. It doesn't matter. I mean, Bryant Haynes signed that extension as the DC. That is huge for Indiana. They're showing that this program is so invested in keeping football alive, and Curt Cignetti is really at the center of that. And to bring in a guy like Mendoza, I mean, Rourke was so solid last year. And it's like, man, he was breaking records, most touchdowns in a single season. Mendoza turns around just like that with a single season passing touchdown record. And it's the big-time performances like that that show, like, okay, this team does have what it takes to kind of go the distance. They're going toe-to-toe with the best of the best. They go out to Oregon and win. They go, and beat Ohio State at a neutral site. This is a good team, and, I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State Indiana meet up back in Miami at the end of January.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing. And something else that stood out to me with Indiana was the moment was not too big for
Yeah.
them in the Big Ten championship game. And if you can take down Ohio State in the way that you did, holding that offense to 10 points, you see Oklahoma and Alabama waiting for you in that bracket. I think last year you would have said, this year they're saying that's Indiana that we have to go play.
Yeah, this year
So they
it's bring
completely
on
changed it.
anybody,
Right.
really.
Yeah, no, the moment's not been too big. So let's talk a little bit of college football playoff, and then we'll finish off with who we think is going to win the Heisman Trophy tonight, which seems pretty obvious. But, we'll save the spoiler alerts. Indiana's draw in the college football playoff. What do you think about that for the Hoosiers, for Mendoza, and this Indiana team? Because that defense is what stood out to me in the Big Ten championship game. That defense is as advertised and extremely legit, and they are capable of beating anybody just winning a game defensively, let alone the offense that they have, which has been elite all year.
I think at 3 levels they just have dominance. I mean, their defensive line wreaks havoc. They get in the backfield, tackles for loss. They're top 10 in sacks in the country as well. They have an elite linebacking core with Aiden Fisher, Isaiah Jones. They have one of the best cover corners in all the country with D'Angelo Ponte. Yes, he's quote-unquote an undersized guy, but they let him go on an island with Jeremiah Smith. Yes, Smith was productive, but he wasn't a game wrecker per se. A big loss, though, Stephen Daly, an interior guy who was leading the entire nation in tackles for loss. That's something to keep an eye out. Whether or not the preparation leads to someone, it's next man up mentality right now. They look at an Alabama, Oklahoma from an outside perspective. This is the big moment where you can shut the SEC up. Those are the last of the talking heads that are counting Indiana out. If Indiana wants to make some noise, they see in Alabama, they see in Oklahoma, they put up a big time performance, move on to a semifinals, and they're at the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's the institution. That's the mother of them all. That is the place you want to be if you are the top overall seed. And for Ohio State, you still get the bye at least, and you're eyeing a pretty favorable matchup.
Yeah, no, I think for Ohio State, I like the matchup too, either getting Texas A&M or Miami, and then it's setting up that showdown for Georgia if the Buckeyes get by. And I think if there's 3 teams that I had to say could win a national championship that are in the field, it would be Indiana, Ohio State, and Georgia. And yes, they're ranked appropriately, but I do think that's the talent. And I think they're in a class that's above their own. But I do think the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes are a step even above Georgia. So that's my national championship pick right there. I think we're going to see a rematch of the Big Ten championship game in Miami.
I do think it's going to be an Indiana, Ohio State, barring that both teams stay relatively healthy throughout the process. But Heisman winner, Fernando Mendoza looks like the clear favorite. I think we're going to be seeing some history in New York City. First time ever Hoosier. The first Big Ten guy since Troy Smith in 2006.
It's really crazy to think about, but I'm with you. I think Fernando Mendoza is going to hoist the trophy tonight too. Well earned by Mendoza. But, I mean, all 4 of these guys tonight are extremely outstanding athletes. They're great players. And I think we're going to see Julian Sayin back. Again, I know some of these guys have to graduate, but Jeremiah Love's had an incredible season. The hype around Diego Pavia. But Mendoza has earned the award. We're going to see Sayin back. I'm really excited to see all these guys play in the college football playoff.